All right. Hey, welcome everybody. Thank you guys so much for being here. You are tuned in to Unpack This with your host, Gloria Bailey Ray, known as the Authentic Coach. Hey, I have an awesome, awesome whew, podcast for you guys today. My goal is always to bring the fire, and we are going to do just that. So, again, I want to welcome you to this is season two, the unlearning. And our episode today, we're going to be talking about from people pleasing to power. That's right, people pleasing to power. So let me just start with by asking you this: when was the last time you said yes and your spirit said no? When was the last time that you showed up, you smiled, you delivered, you supported, you helped, adjusted, and guess what? You walked away feeling unseen and quietly resentful? Can you guys relate to that? So, yeah, we're going to go there today because what we've been calling being nice, what we've been calling being supportive, what we've been calling being a good woman is often just people pleasing dressed up as virtue. That's it. That's the bottom line. Excuse me. And let me say this clearly: people pleasing is not kindness, you guys. It is not kindness. You know what it is? It is self abandonment. That's right, self abandonment. So, again, I'm Gloria Bailey Ring, your host, the Authentic Coach, and you are tuned into Unpack This, where we unpack the truths behind authenticity, boundaries, and leadership so women can stop overgiving and start leading fully. And this right here, this season two, the the unlearning, man, it's real because this is where we are breaking toxic beliefs and inherited expectations that have kept women small. Check this out: small, silent, and stuck. Okay, so if you're tuning in and streaming live, I know we had a couple of hiccups here, but please, be sure and place your comment in the comment section. And also, give a shout out. Let me know where you are tuned in from. And I always want to know if these episodes, if it resonated with you. So today we're talking about from people pleasing to power. And it's because somewhere along the way, you were taught that your value was in how comfortable you made other people. And so today we're going to unlearn that. Okay? That's the bottom line. So, let me start with talking about where people pleasing really comes from. So, let's get honest. People pleasing didn't just show up one day. Not at all. It was taught. It was modeled. It was rewarded. You learned early on about being agreeable, don't be difficult, keep the peace. Hmm. Don't talk back, certainly. And of all the things, be the good one. You guys feel me on that? And especially, you know what, for women, we were praised for being, get this, easy to deal with, flexible, selfless, accommodating. But nobody, and I mean nobody, told you the cost. Nobody told you that one day one day you will wake up and realize you don't even know what you want anymore. Can you guys feel me on that? Do you relate to that? Guess what? Because you've been so busy managing everyone else. Hey, I'm there. So let's talk about the lies about being nice. Now, allow me to break this down. People pleasing is rooted in one core belief. And that belief is if I keep everyone happy, I will be safe, accepted, and loved. Let me just tell you, that's a lie. That really is a lie. And it's a big lie. Because what actually happens, you become overextended, undervalued, emotionally exhausted, and the truth be known, quietly resentful. And here's the part that we don't talk about enough. Listen, ladies, people pleasing, it doesn't just hurt you, right? It teaches people how to treat you. You guys get that? And here's why I say that. Because if you always say yes, guess what? People will stop asking if it works for you. You relate to that? I can. If you never speak up, people will assume you don't have anything to say. And some of you think that being silent is the best way to be. Listen, ladies, this segment is about unlearning. Unlearning. And I want to tell you, if you constantly accommodate, people will expect access without respect. Come on now. I know you feel me on that. But let me take you there. But talk about this moment of realization. See, there actually comes a moment, and I'm going to say this. If you are listening to this or tuned into it, you've probably had it. That moment where something inside you says, I can't keep doing this. I can't keep doing this, right? You start noticing things like you feel drained after certain conversations. I mean, like drained, like, oof. And sometimes I've even had to say, oh, I need a drink after that, right? You say yes, and then guess what? Then you regret it immediately. And here's the other piece. You avoid conflict, but you still carrying the tension in your neck, in your shoulders, in your stomach, right? You feel invisible even when you're present. Now, I'm just going to say, if you can relate to any of that, just give me a thumbs up, but, give me 2 snaps, just say amen to that. But here's the truth. Here's the real truth. That moment, that is not you breaking. Hear me when I say this. That moment when you are feeling this, that is not you breaking. Is you waking up. That's right. Waking up. And let me talk for a moment how people pleasing shows up in your life. And this one was, for me, I had to just say, aha, this was deep, because I could so relate to it, right? How people pleasing shows up in your life. So let's call it out, because people pleasing shows up, and get this, in relationships. You overgive, you overexplain, you tolerate behavior that doesn't even align with your values. It shows up in work. Now, I know so many of you women can relate to this. You take on extra tasks. You don't speak up in meetings. And I know so many of you, you downplay your expertise, right? Holla. And then let's look at family. You carry emotional labor dealing with family. You keep the peace at your own expense. You avoid setting boundaries. Why? Because it's family. Yikes. And the whole time, y'all, you are shrinking. You are shrinking to maintain that connection, right? Whew. I said we're going to unpack some stuff. So guess what? Well, let me talk to you about the cost of just staying there, right? Allow me to just be direct with you, which I always am. That's that authenticity piece. See, people pleasing will cost you. It's going to cost you your voice. It's going to cost you your time. It's going to cost you your energy. And most of all, it's going to cost you your identity. But at the same time, when I think about cost, there's one bigger cost, and that's your self-respect. Because every time you override yourself, you're sending a message to yourself. And that message is, my needs don't matter. And if you keep doing that long enough, you won't even recognize yourself anymore. Now, can you relate to that? Right? But let's talk about the shift that we need to make from pleasing to power. That shift is definitely needed. Why? Because this is where your power comes back online. It's moving from people pleasing to power. And I want to say this, it is not about becoming rude. Because you're going to always have somebody that's going to have something to say. But it's not about becoming rude. Not at all. It's about you becoming self-led, right? And for a moment, just allow me to share with you, in my opinion, what power sounds like. Power sounds like this. That doesn't work for me. I need time to think about that. Because see, some of you are so quick to feel like you need to respond right away. Take a moment. They on your clock. But we must learn how to respond. And if it doesn't work, then be okay with that. You can say things like, I'm not available for that right now. I had someone ask me that I hadn't seen in years if I would, vote for them or do something that they were in. And at first, the old me wanted to kick in and say, oh, well, be nice, coach. And then I responded back and said, I'm unable to do that for you at this particular time. Be okay with that. You need to be able to say, I see that differently, right? Stand in your truth. Know who you are. Feel good about that. These are the things that are about coaching you to actually take control of your life. So let me tell you something, because you can be kind and still have boundaries. You can be compassionate and still say no. You can be supportive and yet still choose yourself. That's real. And you got to love it, you know. But some of you feel uncomfortable in saying these things. So why, um, let me just talk with you for a moment about why this feels so uncomfortable. So the elephant in the room, I'm going to address that. You know, that shift that I'm talking about you need to do. Yeah, it's uncomfortable initially because when you stop people pleasing, people will notice, and not everyone's gonna like it, right? And the reason is because there have been so many people who have benefited from your silence. So many, right? There are some people who benefited from your flexibility, and there are some people who have benefited just simply because you didn't have any boundaries. So when you change, let me just tell you, they may call you um, difficult. How about you're different? You're distant. You're not the same anymore. And you know what? They're right. They are absolutely right. You are not the same anymore because you are becoming someone who honors herself. That's what, you know, you are doing for you. Because at the end of the day, it's all about you. All right. So, you know, let me talk about for a moment. You know, you guys are aware that I wrote a book, and this is where, segments of the book. This is where um, my message in the book, where it should hit home for you, right? I talk about these things and when to get up from the table when love is not being served, right? That's a metaphor. But let me just tell you, see, people pleasing keeps you seated at tables where you are overgiving and under receiving. Power, let me just tell you, power gets up. Power says, I'm no longer negotiating my worth for acceptance. Come on now, some of y'all, I know you feel me on this because I can tell you when I had that aha moment, I felt free. I, I felt like I had been just let out. And the thing is, I was okay with that, right? So let me share with you maybe some actionable shifts that you can do. I want to ground this for you. So if you're ready to move differently, here's one of the things you got to do. You got to pause before responding. I just said earlier, stop answering immediately because I know everything is immediate. It's a text message, it's an email. You need to give yourself space to choose, not react. Another thing is replace that automatic yes with an intentional response, right? And that intentional response can be something as simple as, I'll get back to you. That's powerful. See, you got the power, right? I got the power. You have the power. And that's so critical. And then another thing that you must notice, you got to notice your body. How's your body feeling? If it feels tight, if it feels heavy, or resistance, listen, that's your truth speaking to you. Now, I'm not saying this is going to happen overnight, like right away, but I am going to challenge you to start small. You don't have to flip your whole life overnight. You do not. But let's start with practice in low risk situations, right? Expect discomfort. I'm going to tell you, growth is not smooth. It's not. It's real. It is real, right? But it's important. So when we talk about redefining who you are, let me make this plain. You are not, hear me when I say this, you might want to jot this down. You are not the fixer of everyone else's chaos. You are not the peacekeeper at the expense of your own peace. You are not the emotional support system that no one pours back into. And I know for a fact, if you look back over your life and you look back at all the times that you have poured into and been there for somebody, but when you needed them, and because you don't ask a lot, when you needed them, they were never there, right? They're not pouring back into you, but you're just pouring out of a cup and your cup is empty, right? And you still are squeezing, trying to pour in someone else. You are not, I'm telling you, you are not the person who over explains just to be understood. And here's the thing, this is a great practice for you. Sometimes what happens when people, I recently had this, I was asked, well, why aren't you going to do this? And I had this puzzled look, like, did you not understand my English? I said, because I don't want to. And this person continues to give me all these reasons why. And at this point, I had to say, I'm going to be respectful and I'm going to end this call and do not call or ask me that again. Now, in this case, I not only, like severed that conversation, felt good about saying, because I didn't want to, but I also blocked that person because what I realized that wasn't someone that was for me. That was not someone who was pouring into me. And I want you to understand this. You know what? You are not the person who over explains just to be understood. No means no. That's a sentence in itself. It's that simple. It really is, lady. But let me just tell you, you need to understand this one piece, that you are not the one who keeps saying yes while your spirit is screaming no. You say yes and you realize. And by the way, from a spiritual perspective, for me, the Holy Spirit, it will tell me this is not a person you want to deal with or needs to deal with. I mean, when I started paying attention to my gut, that has been a major, point for me to recognize that what I needed was to pay attention to me. All right. And I want to also tell you, you are not the person who carries it all so nobody else has to feel uncomfortable, right? You're not here to manage other people's emotions while you abandon your own. Let me just tell you, that road, it's expired. You remember that commercial? Expired. It's expired. And it's okay. I keep saying to you, this is where you really find out who's for you and who's not. All right. So, all right. But let me tell you what you are. When you do these things, you are becoming a woman who trusts herself. And you trust yourself. Oh, check this, without needing permission. That's right. You are a woman who listens to her body, her intuition, her truth, and moves accordingly. All right. You are a woman who sets boundaries, and you do it without over explaining, without over apologizing, or without shrinking to soften them. You know what I'm talking about? You are becoming a woman who understands that being liked is not the same as being respected, right? And I used to hear that saying, you may not like me, but you will respect me, right? You are a woman who no longer performs for acceptance, but what you do, you stand in alignment. You are becoming a woman who knows her presence is valuable and her absence is a decision. You're becoming a woman who doesn't stay where she has to overgive just to feel included. Come on, I feel like I'm giving you a sermon, but what I'm giving you, I'm passionate about it because I've lived that life. I have given and given and given till I didn't have anything else to give, right? And yet I still somewhere reached down and kept giving up myself until I had that point where I woke up. I just want to say this clearly. You are becoming self-led, not reactive. Not at all. You are not seeking approval. You are not emotionally, what I'm going to say, outsourced. But you are self-led, which means, first of all, you check in with you, yourself. You honor what's true for you. You know, even when it's uncomfortable. You see, the only person that lives with you is really you. And you got to move in a way that reflects your worth, not your fears. Come on, ladies. You know, because the version of you that keeps shrinking to belong, that version got you where you are right now. But the version of you that chooses yourself, that version is going to take you further. It is. Let me leave this with you. I tell you guys, Unpack This is about unpacking all of these things that we've been carrying around for years. Women, hear me. You do not have to earn your place. You don't earn it by shrinking. You do not have to prove your worth by overgiving. And you don't have to stay at a table where you are not being served, y'all. Because remember, I always say in my book, hey, you were invited. It's not your table. You were just invited. Remember that. This season, this unlearning is not about becoming, someone new. It's about becoming who you were before you were taught to abandon yourself, right? So today, we unpacked people pleasing to power. If you felt this, I'm just going to ask you to not ignore it. Stop doing that to yourself. That shift that you feel, I want to tell you, that's your next level that's calling you, pulling you, is pulling you forward. If this resonated with you, I'm going to ask that you follow the show. Download, share this with a woman who's ready to stop shrinking and start leading fully. I'm telling you. And if you really want to go deeper, check out my book, When to Get Up from the Table When Love is Not Being Served. It's waiting for you. You can find it on Amazon. You can find it on Barnes & Noble, or you can go to my website, GloriaBaileyRay.com. Because the moment you stop people pleasing is the moment you start choosing yourself. I say this to you until next time. Listen, I'm going to ask you to keep unpacking, to like, share, follow. And I want to give a shout out to all of you. I appreciate all the downloads. I appreciate all the shares. This is something that was placed on my heart. And that's why women, we have been in the shadows and the background for a long time. And that's why this women's series is for you. I am still growing and learning, but I thank you so much for allowing me to share with you, all of these different things. So until this time, next week, next Thursday, every Thursday, and this podcast will download on Fridays at 11 a.m. Guys, thank you so much. I'm Gloria Bailey Ray. Talk to you next